Well, I think we have to look at the fact that President Trump can win this race regardless of who his vice president is. He's got the luxury of not having to pick someone. And I think if we actually look in political history, the last time a vice presidential pick actually helped swing an election was when Kennedy picked Lyndon Johnson, and Lyndon Johnson helped Kennedy win that race. And with President Trump right now, where he is with Hispanics, with blacks, with people under age 30, and with independents, I mean, he's very strong across the board. So he can pick someone that he can focus on, like, hey, let's get someone get stuff done. Let's get someone who helps him govern. He doesn't have to make a choice like some of the other names that you cited, where maybe they needed a blend to actually get the electoral block.
I don't think that that's necessarily incorrect. I just don't know why Doug Burgum is talking about it. Why is he talking about it? Welcome back to the program. Dana Loesch here with you. Doug Burgum, as you know, he was one of the guys, we talked about this last week, who's being considered. He's the governor of North Dakota. He kind of looks like, I don't know, like a more generic Eugene Levy. It's the eyebrows. It's the eyebrows that do it. I don't necessarily think that's wrong, but I don't think it's entirely correct either, what he just said there. And before we get started, by the way, hi, welcome back. Good to be with you. Top of the third hour, Dana Loesch with you. Listen coast to coast. You can follow us online, stream us, Channel 347, Direct TV as well. I think that it is important if it is a swing state. I think it very much adds to Trump's momentum. I think that it helps him, especially if it's a state like Georgia or Virginia. Because there are, it always comes down to like the hometown politician. Like if this is one of their own, and then it's going to be a lot easier to get those voters in that state. And I think with people like Brian Kemp or even a Glenn Youngkin, I think that there's a greater chance of Trump to be able to unite kind of the frayed factions of the right and bring in Republican, but traditionally non-hardcore Trump voters, if that makes sense. It's not like they dislike him. It's just that they're Republican voters, but I don't think that they would define themselves as MAGA. And that's a demo that you have to understand and that you still want and need in order to win. So I think that in those instances, I do think it is important who his VP pick is. He's got a great opportunity. I just don't think that he can have somebody who is super charismatic like he is. You can't have two charismatic people like that. But at the same time, I think a lot of people were left wondering what Mike Pence did. Right? He seemed real milquetoast, didn't he? Like to the point where you just, I don't know, it almost didn't seem like it worked there either. So I don't know. I don't think it can be Doug Burgum because North Dakota's, sorry, with your electoral vote, you're not bringing a lot. Okay? I'm just being honest about it. Great state. You're just not bringing a lot electorally to it. Come on. Let's be real. It's not like a Georgia. It's not like a Virginia. It's very different. I also think that Kristi Noem is officially out. If she was ever being considered, it's still not happening. By the way, she said she wasn't formally vetted. Audio soundbite 10. She said that she hasn't been formally vetted to be his running mate because she's out of the running. Listen.
Let me ask you about some of our reporting that shows there are 3 names now on Donald Trump's shortlist to serve as his vice presidential pick. Yours is not one of them right now. Are you being vetted? Have you received the paperwork?
The only person who knows who the vice president's going to be is Donald Trump.
Have you received the paperwork, though?
No, I haven't received any paperwork. No, I haven't. I've had conversations with the president, and I know that he is the only one who will be making the decisions on who will be his vice president.
Got extensions for nothing. I'm just saying it's not going to happen. They did ask her about audio soundbite 11. They had to bring back to the Kim Jong-un thing. Again, she wrote it in her book. She's never going to get away from this. We got it. It's audio. What is it? Audio soundbite 11. Listen.
So let's talk about the book, having gone through much of it right now. This week, Russian President Vladimir Putin traveled to North Korea to meet with Kim Jong-un. In the first release of your book, you wrote, "I remember when I met with North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un. There was no evidence that meeting happened. So how did it make it into your book, Governor?"
I'm not going to talk about that.
You're not going to talk about
that?
that?
It's in your book. That's so weak.
That
is so weak. You can't do that. You can't put it in your book and then I'm not going to talk about it. But you put it in your book. Not only did you put it, again, you put it in your book and then you had to go through the editing read and then you had to okay the excerpts that were released to promote the book. So she had like three different opportunities to say, that's not going to work. I'm not going to do that. I can't have it. It just looks weak to be like, no, I'm not going to talk about that now. You're not going to talk about the meeting that you said happened and literally the entirety of your staff contradicted you. You're not going to talk about that? Really? I've never seen so many unforced errors. So now she's out of the running. And I got to say, with her moderate record, I'm happy. Because she's a moderate. She tried to like reframe herself and she tried to, what is it? She had a glow up. Went to the salon. She totally changed her look. Seriously changed it. And it didn't. Then she decided to shoot herself in the foot and come out with this book where she thought she was going to flex and it ended up looking goofy. Just didn't work out. So who do you think it's going to be? I know who I want it to be. I kind of think it might be Tim Scott. I don't know. If you see Tim Scott at the debate, I'm going to be like, it's Tim Scott. But then what if he's there with Doug Burgum? What are you going to think? There's no way Trump picks Doug Burgum. No offense, but no. Right? No. Does he inspire anything? I think he would actually be a drag on the ticket. Yeah. He would be a drag. He doesn't bring anything electorally. It's just dumb. It's a waste of a maneuver. Don't do it. I actually don't think, I don't know. Does Tim Scott, I don't know if that works. Tim Scott?
Well, like you said, I mean, what does the VP really do except just support the president, right?
Yeah.
And who does...
And then could be president, so it's like...
Right.
Oh.
And then who does that the best? I don't think it's going to happen with Rubio because of the whole Florida thing.
No. And him crumpling on stage and being moderate.
Burgum doesn't really move the needle. Not that, and I think even his audio pointed to it, that Trump doesn't need a VP to move the needle for him in some way, shape, or form, I guess, at this point.
In certain respects, I think he does in non-MAGA Republican voters, independents.
I agree with
in those
that.
swing states. I think he does.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's why I hope he picks a Youngkin or a Kemp. I know that Kemp is like that's like me asking for a Ferrari, right? Or a 1970 Challenger, black with black tinted windows.
You'll poke your eye out.
Black leather interior. No, I don't have you'll poke your eye out. Mine is you'll wrap it around a tree. That's what I'm told in my house. So what if I'm a woman driver and just get away from me on the road? Just let me have my lanes. I said lanes. So I don't know who it's going to be.